All right, a quick mic check. How are we sounding? Everything good? How are you guys doing? Good to see you. Welcome back, Sandy.
Thanks. Just had some foundation on my hand, and I didn't want to sit here with a big giant brown spot on my hand. Probably wouldn't
And
have
then
been noticed, but it bothered me.
Transfer it onto the lovely pink
Right.
mat. All right, sounds are doing good.
Breaking news, the Gotendanians are experimenting with gene splicing.
And that means hybrid smart dolls.
It's Monday, February 6th, and this is your Smart Doll News.
Welcome back.
Hi, everybody.
Happy Monday. It's February already.
It is. It's February.
How is it like a month into 2023 already?
How is it that next week we will be in Texas?
Yeah, next week we're going to be in Texas.
Yeah.
For like the whole week, which is crazy.
I'm so excited to actually hang out with doll people.
Yeah.
Like, because we haven't been able to other than by video chat, like, ever.
Yep. So we cannot wait to meet you guys. We are doing Now, I don't know what scheduling or whatever may change, but as far as we know right now, we are doing a panel. We're going to be doing the Smart Doll news, sort of a kind of like an overview of where Smart Doll is at in 2023 on the Sunday, the 19th, I believe. I think 18th is
the Sunday was
Saturday.
when we're set for currently. Yeah. Yes.
I should have brought those notes up. There should be a link in the description, so check that out for more information. And we will be, hopefully, to the best of our abilities, live streaming from the convention. So bear with us, but that'll we'll put up more information about that. That does mean some sad news.
We are not going to be. We're getting into Texas like right before we would normally do the news next Monday, so we are most likely not going live on Monday, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, here's what I would say. There are no plans for Smart Doll News for the next 2 Mondays.
Right.
We will basically be traveling and there to and fro. We may be going live in the week
Right.
At various points.
You may get different content from us for the next 2 weeks simply because of being at DollCon.
Yeah. So I think keep your eye out on the YouTube feed. Keep your eye out on the Discord, especially. If you're not a member of our Discord, you should totally join us. You could join us at myladydisdain.com/Discord. There is a link in the description for this video. So, we of course also need to thank Rachel Cuddle.
Thank you, Rachel, for your super chat last week.
So much appreciated. Last week was a little crazy.
Yeah.
Danny did a drop in the chat.
Yeah.
Like literally in the chat.
Yeah, and I guess there was some difficulty with some people not understanding how you can watch the channel, watch the stream, and see the chat at the same time.
I'm not sure what exactly happened there.
Yeah, but it seemed like Danny sent out an apology for people who couldn't see the chat. But it was fun. It was so much fun, and we put everything up on the screen as it came up, and it was entirely, like on the fly. We had no idea he was planning on doing this.
Well, I think I know why it happened in terms of like why things aligned. And that is we had a dog emergency last week and ended up starting the stream late.
Yeah.
So we were a little bit farther along into their morning. And so that meant that, we were more lined up with when they were doing a drop. And he was nice enough to basically drop it in the stream versus distracting everyone outside of the stream. And so that was really cool. Thank you, Danny.
Which I think was really cool because, those of you who are here with us every week are diehard Smart Doll fans and are very, very pro Danny and very pro what he does. And he gave you guys a very good shot at getting stuff because he did it live in our chat when you were there, which was very cool.
Yeah, so will we see it again? That was immediately what people started asking. I'm going to guess that's going to be a rare occurrence, if for no other reason than that schedulings and timeframes aligning up in that way.
Right.
We would have to be probably going later. They are normally not dropping things until 8 to 9 our time, and we go 7 to 8 with the stream. So I would not expect to see that too much, but who knows? I think it is great, and he's been popping in. He popped into our Chaos unboxing.
Yeah, that was fun too because we got a lot of info that we weren't expecting. And I imagine for Danny, it was kind of like watching somebody open presents.
W. Corden, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. We love it. And it really does help us, make sure that we can keep investing in this channel and making it better for you guys. We don't have a lot of news to talk about, but what we've got to talk about is pretty interesting. So shall we get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
headlines. You didn't. We gotta go together. Remember?
Oh, right. Last week we both
we were
did
like
it.
on.
Yep.
Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Let's start with.
But she's so cute.
I know. We'll get to her. This girl. Danny put up some pictures in his stories of her and then released this. He basically said, here's this girl. This girl is, sporting a lovely new prototype shirt, which we've seen a couple of times.
I love
behind
that
the
shirt.
scenes.
I want it.
And he said this girl is actually a combination of two girls.
Right. So why are we doing this?
Well, I would just say, let's just talk about who we even think she is, and then we can get into the why.
I mean, very obviously Haruka, and we have her out right here.
Yeah. We brought her out pretty much immediately. It was obvious to us that this is Haruka. You can't really necessarily see it as close there on her, but the big thing for me was these little extra things. Now, just looking at this, I even realized I thought there were like 3, but there's actually 4.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing goes kind of over it a little bit.
Yeah. And there were, to me, I will say my best guess, based off of what I saw here, the forked eyelid demarcation. I hate the way we say it. And I figured this was Haruka and Multi-Chi.
Uh-huh.
That's what I thought it was, just off of just the features that we could see here.
A lot of people were guessing Haruka and Starlight.
Yeah.
But we do now know who it is.
Yeah, so who is this, Sandy?
This is Haruka and Summer.
He confirmed that in a post today where he actually revealed another girl. And he said that this is... So basically, what they've been doing is trying to consolidate their head molds. Mm-hmm. Now, this is different than what we call sculpts.
Right.
Although for him, this is it.
Right.
This is all that matters to Danny. These are the molds. But he gives a list here of all this there's 15 head molds in circulation. And now these are, for some of these, I think the first time we are getting the real names.
The names that they use to delineate which ones these are.
Most of these we know. All the Gs. The G7, G4, G3, G4, G5, G7, and V1. Those are all the semi-real girls. Mm-hmm. And we also have then the anime girls, which are COS, M1, Mirai, Kanata, Cheese, which is Chitose, Chitose Multiverse. And then there are 5 other molds here that have the same name. Well, not all the same name. You have Hikari Moto and Hikari 2.
Mm-hmm. And then Yori 6, Yori 2, Yori Moto.
So, from what I can understand, the Moto, Hikari Moto and Yori Moto, those are the first of that sculpt. Mm-hmm. And then they made backups of the molds. But unfortunately, those backups turned out to be imperceptibly different enough that they can't use the same...
paint masks.
Yeah,
right. So, we wouldn't be able to tell, looking at the sculpt, that it was we actually had 2 different ones in our hands. But the paint masks know, basically.
Right. So, this girl... So he revealed here that... Summer and Haruka are on the where is it?
I think it's the Hikari Moto?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're deprecating the Hikari Moto mold, mm-hmm. And moving them to Hikari 2. So now he has one mold for that sculpt.
Right.
And Hikari 2, it's interesting. He's not just remaking, he's actually creating a blended character. So he's actually combined these two characters together. Mm-hmm. What do we think of the new Summer versus Haruka, or Summertime Haruka, as he's calling her?
Okay. I think she's very cute.
Yep.
If I need to compare her, I prefer Haruka.
So you like the original or
yes.
the current Haruka?
But I have never been like, I mean, of course I think she's adorable, but I have never been drawn to Summer.
Okay. Yeah, I think she's very cute. I think I would prefer just Haruka. I don't know. I guess if I had to choose, I think I may be with you. And this is horrible. Like nobody wants to like say this, but if I were in Danny's shoes, just by my like just sort of aesthetic judgment of what I'm looking at, I would probably just drop Summer, which I'm sure there are like major Summer people.
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
there's tons of them. I mean, people. She is a favorite.
Yeah. And so this is an interesting one. I'm really interested to know, like, will she be fulfill the people who are on either side of the fence, or does it even matter at this point? You know,
it's funny because he said, should we call her Summer Haruka? You know what's really interesting to me is I actually went and looked up Haruka and what it means, and one of the meanings is spring. Mm-hmm. That's one of the ways that you can write it.
Yeah.
Right? So what about like sunny? Because it's summer and spring blended.
Some Barbie Witch is saying the face is less, I'm the baby sister.
It's like she grew up a little bit. It looks like Haruka grew up.
Yeah, which is cool, but I'm always loving the baby sister.
Can you switch back to that camera for a second?
But, you know, come on. Love the baby sister look. Who knows? Maybe he'll come back to Haruka by herself at some point.
I will say one thing is Haruka actually wants to be tiny. Like, you want her to be shorter.
You are totally right. And if Danny ever did a short Smart doll, not the pocket doll, the one
like an MSD sized doll that is like actually
a 1/4 scale but same head,
compatible to Mini Dolphy Dream, basically.
Keep Haruka, the head size, shorten the body, basically.
Haruka is the right choice because she's Mirai's little sister.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's like it just works.
So doesn't exist. This is all very wishful thinking on our part of what we love. I mean,
just babbling with our friends.
I had to take a knife to a Smart doll body to make the little sister I wanted when we got Haku, the anime Kabuki prototype. Mm-hmm. So you know so I'm just always going, I really want an official short body, which would be great. But this girl is still incredibly cute.
She's very cute.
So it's very cool to see the creative ways that Danny is figuring out his production line, how to consolidate things. I don't know, I feel like he was like, I don't want people to say I'm getting rid of somebody, even though he's kind of getting rid of two.
I don't know what it is about it, though. Actually, this does look to me more like she's related to Mirai.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that.
There's something there that you know, she's growing up, like I said.
Yeah, it's very cool. The other girl, this new girl, again, sporting a new prototype shirt, which I think we've seen at least once somewhere.
Love it.
Yeah, so cool.
And Danny actually asked what we should name it. I actually said it looks like it's just pinched together in the front, so I wanted to, and since it's tiny, I was like, the Just a Pinch blouse.
Okay. Yep. I don't know, what would you call the sort of fringe or...
They're ruffles.
Just ruffles.
They're pleated ruffles. It's like not really...
A ruffle crop shirt or something would be the, like, very literal kind of description. So this girl is... Let's see what Danny says about her. As for today's lady, can you guess who she is? Her current version lives on the Yuri 6 mold and is moving to the COS mold. So, to figure out who this is, the first thing we want to do is figure out which stuff
is on the Yuri 6 mold.
What is the Yuri 6 mold?
Right.
So, the cool thing is we only have 2 unknown molds in here. We have the Hikari and we have the Yuri molds. And we know that
Haruka?
Thank you. Jeez, I'm like, we're so bad at like Pictionary or win, lose, or draw.
Well, it's really funny because sometimes I fill in your words and you get mad at me. And then when you want me to fill in your words, I sit there and look at you like, what?
So Haruka is, we know now that Haruka is Hikari. So let's take a look at the archive. You can find a link to the archive in the description. It's archive.myladydisdain.com. I am currently looking at all the anime sculpts and all that are currently active. So this is not all of the old sculpts. So this should line up with that. Now here we have F5, the summer sculpt, which is also Haruka anomaly. This we now know is the Hikari sculpt.
Right. So it's not that.
Right. So it's not F5.
It's not the Kanata sculpt because that's F6.
It's not F7 or Cheese. It's not M1, we know. It is not Mirai, and it's not COS.
So it must be F4, the Starlight sculpt.
Starlight sculpt. So this girl is in here somewhere. Now, here are our current options. No, this is not getting me any bigger. A lot of these girls, honestly, are really tough. Like Curiosity, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not Curiosity. But a lot of them have this, let me go down to here. A lot of them have this sort of fuzziness. Like the fuzzy
little thin lashes on the inner side, yeah.
And this girl is very solid. It doesn't look very furry at all. So that one's a little bit tough. Just as an example, I think the closest one of the currently active, which we'll get to the ones that aren't currently active, was Valiant.
But the bottom lash line is wrong.
Yeah, the bottom lash line is wrong. The eyebrow has those little extra bits.
And would he do Valiant without... I mean, because she is a special doll.
It could be that he is, and he just hasn't put on the port wine stain. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it's Valiant either. So let me remove the active filter, and now we can see all the sculpts and all the heads on that sculpt. And the first thing that was visible to me that came up, I think, is possibly our best bet. It's not perfect, and there's like one other one. This is Cherry. This is more looking like her, but what do you think? What?
It's close. It's got the right lower lash line, looks pretty good. It does have one point coming in on the inside, which is more like what's going on the new girl.
Right, but it's missing those top lashes.
And the eyelid is different.
Yeah, it's hard to say though, like how much he's adapting them to COS and
and
is adding what changes are happening. Where was the other one? Was it? It wasn't Felicity because she's in the. Sana. Now, this one is really hard to tell based on the pictures we have, but that's basic. No, that's actually the same thing, isn't it? This is T. This is T of Cherry, isn't it?
Could be.
Because it's got the same...
The outside lid is different.
Is it?
The outside lash line is different.
But it has little dots, too.
Yeah. Go to Felicity. Because he did put her in an ashy wig, and both Felicity and Starlight use an ashy wig, and so I thought maybe...
She's just very, very furry.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, it's not Felicity.
I never realized how much layering is on Felicity. Like, how much...
Yeah, there's different... The lashes are very...
The gray lashes in the background, and then... most of these are...
How about Infinity?
I'm going to look at... Ruby is starting to get there in terms of... Ruby has this really stark, like, line across the top. Not in terms of the color, but just in terms of, like, it's not that high curve that a lot of them have.
I love Ruby's eye makeup, actually.
It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Barbie Wish says, I wish that we had these as flashcards. Let's see.
Starlight?
I mean, I've looked at... Again,
Starlight's bottom lash line is totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's different.
Again, I keep coming back to, like, of the sort of eye makeup itself, if you don't count the lower lashes, Valiant is... But still, like, this is
the lid is different.
This is so dramatic turn there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Who do you think is this new girl? You know, is it... are we way off that we... You know, I can't think it's somebody other than this sculpt. Mm-hmm. So it should be somebody on here, but... I don't know how far back he's pulling. I would assume that he's not going that far back.
Right.
Like, that he's probably going to lean more towards active stuff, but... maybe she is... So, maybe she is a mix. Maybe she's a blend, but he doesn't say that. Right. He doesn't say... So, he says up here...
Her current version lives... So one version. Her current version lives on the Yuri 6 mold and is moving to the COS mold.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that this is... He's talking about one. And he does talk about how they're doing one of two things, which is making blended characters or just revamping them onto, which he says it right here. Apart from character blending, we're revamping some characters and moving them to molds with more characters. So, not sure what these are. Let's see if there's anybody, anyone have any good guesses in the chat. Let's put this back up to our girl here.
Kat says she thinks Valiant is the strongest contender. I don't see Valiant. I really don't.
They all have problems. Cherry to me is the strongest. But yeah, like none of them quite match.
I mean, honestly, with her mouth and everything the way it is, like I see Chi more than I do Valiant. And she's not...
I'm less concerned about the mouth, though, because the mouth helps with various expressions and things, and with Chitose, the mouth is fairly important because she has that sort of dumbfounded expression. But that mouth has evolved. Mm-hmm. I don't see...
It's almost like, because he's got, like, the dark in there that almost, like, makes it look like she is pursing her lip a little bit.
Yep.
You know.
I mean, people were saying like Moment and stuff like that, but
Moment's on the Kanata sculpt.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, unless we're wrong about some of these sculpts, but I know because I mean it says. What is the? Let's see if we have. How do we know that she is on the Kanata sculpt?
I mean, it's F6.
Yes. What I'm saying is, let me actually go to. I mean, they don't. Okay, but no, those eyes are so different. Like that is, you know, I don't. We're not talking about another. We know.
He's not doing multiverses either. I think he's trying to stay similar to what the head was like before. I don't think he would go... I mean, at least for this purpose, I'm seriously doubting he would go from tiny eyes to big eyes or vice versa.
And we know that, like, the Starlight sculpt, this group here, is currently unaccounted for in his list. It's not named in his list specifically.
Right.
Like, it has to be that Yuri. Like, I don't see how any of that could be. And there's no other, there's no other, like, the Kanata sculpt is very unique in comparison to this. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's confusing those two. And then here's COS. And again, this is fairly similar, not entirely, but fairly similar to the Starlight sculpt. It's a little narrower, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I.
What about? Did we look at Felicity?
Yeah, we did.
Not Felicity. Sorry, Infinity. Nope, that's not it.
Nope. Definitely not. Yeah. Don't know. So we are gonna leave it at that. Let us know in the comments what you think the sculpt is, and while you're there, why don't you give this video a like? Open up that hand pack one and put on your thumbs up option hand.
Yeah, I think didn't we get some blue hand pack ones went out?
I think they did.
They did. So if you have a blue girl, you can now give us a thumbs up with your
blue
hand pack one.
Yeah, and we don't have too much in the way of behind the scenes. It's mostly pictures of these girls. So that means it's time for a Smarty Party, and then we'll be taking any questions that you have. So if you have any questions, be sure to put them into the Q&A feature in YouTube, and we will answer those when we return in just a minute.
We came to party all night long. Let's sing on to every song. We don't need nobody's attention, don't need nobody else in our
a long one this week.
Yeah, a lot of gray girls. That's cool. Gray is out there.
Yep. Yeah, we actually had to, the music had to loop another time. Glad to see you all getting your pictures in for Smarty Party. It's great to see all the new variety coming out every single week. Mm-hmm. With us not having an official news for the next few weeks, we probably won't have like a changeover in Smarty Party. We'll just leave one there to
gather stuff.
To gather, something like that. So still only one between now and the next time that we're up. Let's take a look at some questions. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
All right. Magical Girl Kit Kat Gaming asks, I love the idea of combining characters. Who would you and John both like to see combined?
So the ones that I might like to see are ones that probably wouldn't be done simply not in the with the purpose of consolidating, because they are very popular molds that are not going away. But like, I'd like to see maybe Moment combined with Anime Fortitude. So like a Moment with like
just like
freckles
ridiculously sexy Fortitude.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Bombshell 40 or cute, like earthy looking Moment.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some characters like that smashed.
Well, you all know what my answer is going to be. Anybody and Kabuki.
Right. Right. But the Kabuki makeup on anyone?
Yeah. Done.
We know it works because we have Haku. We have the anime version.
Oh yeah.
Of Kabuki, and she's got different makeup, but she's adorable.
Yep. She's very cool. Yeah. So I mean, it's really hard to know. It's what you actually have to do is start, going, I don't know whether you want to combine two dolls that have different feelings about them to see what you can get, or combine two dolls that are have a similar feel to them, like Kanata and Ambition.
Right.
Those don't really work exactly. I don't know if he's limiting this to like things that are on the same sculpt, but yeah, it's tough without having, like, Danny has the privilege, I guess, of being able to take the paint masks and just play with them.
Right. And that's how he's gotten a few dolls.
I think so. Although
we've seen prototypes that have been that way.
Although I will say, yes, he has said that he uses he prototypes with other dolls' paint masks to say, okay, here's some eyebrows. Like, okay, what would a higher up or surprised or angry, eyebrow? Just throw Kanata's eyebrows on there. So yeah, I think it would be interesting to, I don't know, I almost have to take some favorites and then isolate their features.
Right.
And overlay them and then start erasing. It'd be kind of fun to see what we could come up with. So I don't know. It's a big question. There's so many options. All right, next up is from the Barbie Witch.
Will there be another Q&A with Dr. Chu anytime soon? His dad is the professor, so he has the PhD in dollosophy. Dollosophy. Philosophy.
Okay. We don't know at this point.
Honestly, I mean, you may believe us or you may not, but that visit last week was entirely unplanned.
Well, and she's actually Barbie Witch, I think, is actually referring to the Q&A we did back in September.
We did do a Q&A in September.
And that was literally 3 or 4 days notice or something like that. Under a week's notice. It was offered, we gathered questions, we got them answered, and then we delivered them.
I will say, he actually brought out, when he was in our chat last week, there were some things that I brought up, about the bundling and whatnot, that he turned around and just answered for everyone on his Twitter. So it's a good way for him to get feedback. But he is now also, he has opened comments back up on Instagram, which were closed for quite a long time. So he is getting those questions from people and able to answer them. But no, I mean, I hope he would. We would love to do another Q&A.
I think it also has to be kind of like the right, like when's the best time, the most useful time for such a thing. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like it's like, I think the last Q&A happened because there was so much going on and so much just stalling that he had to do, you know, like we've had to push out new dolls till the end of the year, like all, you know, like all this stuff was happening that it was, you know, I think really helpful to be able to just go, okay, what are people confused about? What do they need to know about?
And it was right after he shut off comments too.
Yeah.
So he was able to use us as like a gathering place and a way to get that information out there.
Right. And I think if he decides to do it again, because this is entirely up to him, we obviously, it's an open invitation.
Oh, yeah.
My guess would be like maybe around a bigger event, possibly. I don't know. You know, like the release of
C2 or Naruto.
I doubt that, because that's usually pretty obvious.
And he's usually like jamming busy at that point too.
I meant the Evolve frame.
Right.
Because that's like new things are coming out, you know, so who knows? But we certainly do welcome, if you have questions, you know, that you want to see answered, I would also say ask them in here. We may not have the answer, but, you know, I know Danny does try to keep up on the news and what people are talking about. So, and we've seen a number of times where he's answered questions the next day, within the next day or two on, you know, Instagram or whatever.
Exactly. We know he watches. He might not be with us live, but he watches, so.
All right. Carla Newman says, did you see that Fabric Friends and Dolls has a special edition semi-real Prowess in cinnamon with no picture available? I think it's Pride Whiskers.
Pride Whiskers. Like, it's Prowess. Yeah, okay, yeah. I missed the Prowess part in my brain and read Pride with Whiskers? What?
Right, yeah, it's a little confusing with a doll named Pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what we have here. I mean, I not that I can find all that much. If it has no picture, it's going to be kind of whatever. So let's just double check and see if there's an actual listing.
Pink Prowess with
and then Prowess Cinnamon. Prowess Semi-Real Cinnamon with no picture. But there is Prowess Semi-Real. This was never. This is a special edition of this doll. There was never a stock photograph published. As such, we do not have a photograph for this doll. So now the question is was there a photograph of Semi-Real Prowess? Because she existed, right?
Yeah.
Prowess. Let's see.
Prowess Semi-Real. There she is in Coco. Was she not released in Cinnamon?
It's possible. Because, I mean, she's in Coco for multiple candidates, but... I mean, keep your eye on it. It could be Pride.
Check option heads.
Power. Show, hide, out of stock items.
There's Prowess, but that's anime.
That's anime, not semi-real. I think there's a good chance that this is just Cinnamon Prowess semi-real. But it's hard to say. I can't see a Cinnamon Prowess semi-real picture on here. And the other thing that I would say is I don't think it's likely that he would send Pride Prowess to Fabric Friends and Dolls first.
Without having
had a launch, like any sort of drop for her. Like she's just been teased recently. So my bet, we won't know until somebody buys her, I guess. But it says it's a special edition. If it was Pride, it would say it. They would want to sell it that way. Like, why would it be a secret? So I would take the thing at face value. Don't get disappointed thinking that this is Pride Prowess, and end up with just a normal.
Reach out to Iris and ask if you want to know.
But yeah, I do not believe that is going to be the Pride Prowess. We have Christina Coald, biggest hi for Australia. I always wanted to ask if Danny would bring back multi-universe guy head. I'm not sure what that means.
From past guy, like Crimson would make a smoke. Okay, so basically taking an old guy and turning him into something else. So doing a multiverse type.
Well, I guess what that would imply. Oh, I see, because it make him a vampire.
And
right.
Crimson would make a fantastic vampire.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I think is a great thing he should be doing, is don't just make a vampire girl, make vampire versions of other dolls. And yeah, a vampire guy would be amazing. First, though, we got to see who are we getting for the guy he's working on, because he has confirmed he has re-stoked the fires of working on the guys, because the new frame can actually be used in the old guy ones, which means he's may very well be working on a gray guy, and maybe it's a vampire. Maybe he's going to do vampire girl, vampire guy. Who knows?
Yeah, he talked about like it's resembling Castlevania and stuff like that, and there's definitely like male vampires in that, and sure. I'm sure he's inspired by it. So
yeah, I think it's a very cool idea. We're just gonna have to wait and see what Danny comes out with. But again, it's like the new frame will have to come out first. Like, we're not gonna see boys probably until, like, I don't know, if they go well, maybe Q3 or something like that. Like, it still takes time to put them through production. So cross your fingers, though. I mean, that would be amazing. All right, let's check back in with chat. Yeah, looking good. Everyone's basically talking about vampires. Again, it has been great having you. We will not be seeing you for a normal news for the next 2 Mondays.
But we're hoping that we'll be bringing you some other content.
Yep, and we will be, yes, cross our fingers that I can get everything set up correctly. We will be streaming live from there. You'll see more details coming in the next week for the exact time on that.
If something happens that we aren't able to stream live, there will be a video at some point of it. So.
Yeah, I guess we'll try and take a video of it. I mean, I think it's just gonna be really interesting to see if we can combine, questions from chat, questions from audience,
Kat also suggested we can actually go live from their house.
Sure.
For something.
Yeah. And so we'll see what's what. I mean, if Danny, I will say this, if Danny drops some ridiculously crazy news or something like that we feel we have to talk about, we'll find a way to go live. It just won't be at the normal time.
Right.
And it may not be in, as good a production. It may just be us sitting there with our phone or something like that.
Right.
This has been fun. We hope you all have a lovely few weeks, and you bear with us while we figure out what we're going to do on our trip.
This always makes my Monday better. That's all from us. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.